Greetings, brothers and sisters. I almost banned this person. Sometimes a little quick with the banning trigger finger. But this person asked this question. Paul, I respect the fact that you do the heartfulness meditation and others as well. In fact, I hearted this comment. Then I'm like, oh, I should ban this person. Then I realized I should heart it. So it went back and forth. Paul, I respect the fact that you do the heartfulness meditation and others as well. Not here to chastise one's belief system. The only thing about this, if you're trying to connect with your own personal God of choice, I can't see how that works. If everyone is praying the heartfulness, believing in different gods, how it is effective, I realize you're not a Christian, but Jesus is the way and truth and the life. No other God has been raised from the dead except for Jesus. Just a respectful comment. There's two fundamental misunderstandings about God. The first of which is, if you understand food and water and oxygen, desire for a comfort and sex and all these, fundamental needs that people have, right? If you are somehow able to patent or get the copyright or trademark any of these things where people had to go through you, where you're taking a cut of whatever, right? People have to go through you to get those things. If you could trademark water, right? You owned water. Everyone drinking water in the world, you get a cut of that, right? This is what businessmen want to do. And so think about being able to trademark God. I mean, people's belief in God, their, fanaticism for God, their craze for God, right? And being religion where you can tell people that you have the one and only God. Your God of your religion is the true God. All the other religions aren't, is a marketing scheme, right? It's not true. It's blasphemous. It's the worst thing, right? Religions that have done that have fallen beyond corporations and evil, whatever it is, right? Religions are the worst because doing that to God's, it's one thing to BS about, I don't know, Snickers bars or, Walmart stuff or, any of these types of products. It's one thing to lie about those products and use, various types of manipulative marketing techniques to bring people in, right? In the financial markets and all these, corporate dealings. And it's a worse thing to do that with God, right? To blaspheme God, to pretend you have a position of authority that you don't have. You're literally usurping the position of God, and you're becoming a block. You're becoming an obstruction to people's direct connection with God. It is an act of pure evil. Because if you understand the nature of God, that you know God more at the end of your life, hopefully, than at the beginning. You understand God more. You have learned more about God. I mean, that's the purpose of life here on planet Earth. And every spiritual figure, every religious figure, every spiritual person, every saint has the task of trying to get you to help you understand God. Go read any religion, and it's filled with descriptions about God and what God wants and what God's like and all these things. And, some of them are better than others. But if you go to any church, any synagogue, any temple, any ashram, and you see all these people, it's presumed that they're all worshiping the same God, right? And they're not. You understand this? Religions don't have, this is the one true God. This is the one true God. This is the God we worship, right? All these different, versions of how God works and what God is. Like they own God. Like they can patent God. Like they can tell you. Like no person truly knows God. Even the most highly developed spiritual beings, they realize more after they die. When their soul reunites, especially if they have merged back into the source, if they've reached the spiritual pinnacle goal of their human life, even then, it takes, the removal of the body and the mind and, human consciousness and going back to the source after they die for them to truly realize what God really is, right? and everyone else is just going on a journey. And so it doesn't matter how you approach God, what perspective you take, right? I mean, each system, there's better systems. There's the most efficient system, right? If you take all the religions and all the spiritual organizations in the world, there is the most efficient system. It's the system that best produces the results of connecting you to God. There is going to be one system that's better than all the rest. There might be another system that comes about later that's better than all the rest. But right now, there is one system, right? And each person thinks it's their system. Every person who's in a religion thinks it's their system, right? For me, it's the heartfulness meditation because of the transmission. Because knowing God is really kind of impossible, but you can know more about God. You can know more about the nature of God. But that depends on your spiritual evolution. As you evolve, you understand God more and more. You know how to work with God more and more, right? You mature and you get wiser. But everybody can feel God's love right now. And again, the capacity of your heart to feel God's love and how clean your heart is and how much your heart can expand determines your capacity to feel God's love. But everybody can feel love. I mean, most people can, unless your heart is somehow rock hard, right? And the heartfulness system of meditation isn't about knowing God. It's about experiencing God, experiencing God's love through the transmission that's given. And it's unique to the system, and no other system has that, right? No other system has developed the transmission like it is in the heartfulness meditation. And so that's why I prefer that system. I think it's the best system because of my experiences with the transmission. You know, there's books and there's teachings and things available in every system. But to have an actual heart-based experience of God's love on a regular basis is what keeps me coming back to the heartfulness system, because it's nothing like anything I've experienced in this life or any other life. There's nothing to compare it to. So going back to this person's point where they say, the only thing about this is if you're trying to connect with your personal God of choice, I can't see how that works. Well, that's because you're limited to the religion of your birth, right? You have not experienced God in any other capacity. But experiencing God and knowing God, like every religion and anybody who teaches you about God, is just like teaching you a method of shooting a basketball or a method of holding your pencil and writing, right? Your teacher, if you go to one school, your teacher will teach you to hold your pencil one way. You go to another school, they'll teach you to hold it another way. And, another school gives you an iPad, right? I mean, it's all relative to the method. There's all these different methods. If you ever seen a Kung Fu movie where they're talking about, my style is better than your style. I like the drunken open fist style, right? They all have their different methods that they think one method is better than the other. But eventually, like whatever you learn, when you learn how to drive, you learn how to throw a football or a frisbee, you eventually have to learn more about it, right? And then someday you might surpass your teacher. You might surpass, or you might bring in a new way to do something, right? A new way to throw a frisbee, or a new way, a new move that no one's done before on the football field or the basketball field, or a new pitch that you developed, or whatever it might be. You understand this? And it's the same thing with God. Religions give you a template and let you know there is a God, but then you have to go and explore and prove, experience God and prove to yourself that there actually is a God. And everybody who's sitting around you in church or in the ashram or the temple or wherever it is, they have a different level in which they understand God and a different level in which they're able to perceive God, right? Just like anything else, some people have more talent and experience and they just flourish. They become very spiritual people because they have a predisposition. They have a talent for being spiritual. And so, all the people are sitting there listening to the same teachings, the same proverbs, but they really understand it. And so, God isn't this God or that God. You have to learn about God. You have to figure out personally and find a way to connect to God and feel God's love and have a relationship with God. The religion and the spiritual organization are the method to help you connect to God and figure those things out. And you should find the best possible method. You should find the most efficient method, because the best method will yield the best results, just like anything else, right? If you find a better system, this is why they all have all these different offenses and defenses in football and basketball. They have all these strategies and things in chess, right? And so you need to know about these things. And eventually you have to find the best. If you want to excel at something, you need the best system and you need the best, method. And then you have to work harder and use your talents and do what you can do to help become better and, evolve as a person in some field of activity. And most people who have been born in a religion and they grow up in that religion, they think that religion's the best thing. That's just it. Their thing is better. They know more about God than any other religion, right? They have the one true God because they want the copyright. They want the trademark. They got you locked in and they scare you away from trying anything else, right? And that's not a good relationship. That's abusive, right? And they're doing, damage. That's bad shit right there. That's not cool. If a religion has to do that, right? The heartfulness meditation doesn't say any of those things. The heartfulness meditation system gives you the experience of God, and it's up to you. And you have to keep on choosing to come back, right? No one's going to, there's no, if you leave, you're going to get this, and you're going to get that, and, bad things are going to happen to you, and, all these things. It's up to you to stay, right? There's no force and manipulation, and there's no mind games or any of these things. They treat you like an adult, right? And that you have to make the adult decision to come back. You have to figure out if the system works and if it's good for you. And then you have to, continue on. You have to find it within yourself to keep going along, right? You get helped. The system is very helpful in terms of moving you along your spiritual path. But you're the one who has to show up, right? People just mail it in. They sit in church, right, thinking about other things, checking their phones, doing whatever, right? I mean, that's how people are. They're not really there. They're sitting there. They're present physically, but internally, they're not, into it. Same thing with the heartfulness meditation. People, just go through the motions and they don't put as much effort into meditating as they used to, and they cut their meditations short. I mean, it's a constant battle, right? When things are going well and you have plenty of things to do and you're happy and you're healthy, it's easy to forget about God and, not put as much effort into your devotional side, your spiritual side. And then when, things go south, when things go tits up, right, all of a sudden you're back begging God for help and all these things. And that's the unfortunate part of human life. But it's not the system. You have to pick the best system, but you have to try. You have to have the effort, right? You have to want to achieve more understanding and a deeper connection with God. And that's, that's up to each of us. And unfortunately, human beings aren't predisposed to do that. And if anything's going to bring us down, it's that. This is Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.